Okay, as you all know, I'm an Ancap, duh, and I make videos on anarchy, world issues, and other bullshit society does, as well as some other miscellaneous things like flash animations and video game playthroughs. And the occasional, hey, just look at this cool thing I found in a real life video. So, that's all cool, but I never done an actual video on what anarchy is. What is anarchocapitalism? What is an Ancap? What is Ancapistan? Well, I'm going to do a video of all that right here, right now. So here we go. Okay, what is anarchy? Anarchy is the condition of no government. What is anarchocapitalism? It's the condition of no government with capitalism. There's capitalism, there's all these property, there's all these businesses, shops, stores, restaurants, all this good stuff, all this commercialism and houses and apartments and condos and stuff. And the people that own them, just no government. Okay. And an Ancap is someone who follows anarcho-capitalism, or at least tries to. I mean, we may still pay our taxes because we're not quite free to break away from them yet. I mean, taxation is theft, and theft is force, so it's kind of hard to break away from that right off the bat. But we will eventually. But overall, at least in our heads, in our hearts, at least, we are anarcho-capitalists. We don't want government. And Ancapistan is any theoretical area that has no government. So going back to the start of it, what is anarchy? Okay, it's no government. No, capital, no judiciary buildings, no courts, no legislative building, no school board, no public libraries, no public schools, due to government. However, there are private schools, and private courts, and private police, and private libraries, and private anything. Private anything the government did. I mean, anything the government did, which is public, you have the private counterparts to instead. Like in today's world, we got private stuff, but this time, it'll be only private stuff and not the public stuff. Not private stuff in addition to the public stuff, just private stuff. So, what does anarcho-capitalism plan to achieve? What it wants to achieve is a society with no government. None of that public stuff, just the private stuff. Just the good old buildings that we shop, work, and live at. That kind of thing. So what are some arguments for wanting no government in the first place? Okay, well, or wanting no government anymore. Okay, well, here's the argument. I mentioned this in some previous videos, and I'm going to say it again since I'm explaining anarcho-capitalism. The argument for no government, well, one of the arguments, the biggest argument in fact, is that government is a monopoly on force. Plain and simple. It's the ultimate arbiter. It unfairly makes the major decisions for people. I mean, what do I mean by this? Like, for example, government is the only one that can write and enforce the law, right? Congressperson comes up with a bill, other congressmen discuss and vote on it. It either passes or fails as a bill, and then it gets to like the president if you're talking about the United States bills, federal laws, or the governor if you're talking about like state laws and stuff like that. So it goes to them to either be signed or vetoed, and the president can, veto means to throw out a bill, but 2/3 of Congress can override a bill for federal laws, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's government writing stuff and enforcing stuff you have to do. If you don't do this stuff, you get punished. If you break a law which is a certain action that you're not supposed to do, like murder, or an action or lack of an action you're supposed to do, like paying your taxes, you will be punished for it. You will be attacked. You will be detained, processed through the police station, have a trial in court, and then be booked in jail. Or even a death penalty, community service fines, house arrest, probation, parole, whatever. You get that for breaking the law. Okay, well, what happens if you try and resist that thing? When the police get harder on you? What happens if you really try to resist that thing? Like, try to fight back by trying to kill the police or trying to arrest it? Well, then, you get killed. The police kill you, or at least they try to. I mean, that's the thing, is all laws are backed by violence. And ultimately, that violence, if escalated enough, leads to death. I mean, you break the law, they try and arrest you. You resist enough, they try and kill you. Doesn't matter what law it is, if a police officer wants to arrest you, he's gonna try. And if you try to resist, like try to push him back, or say, hey, back off, leave me alone, they're just gonna keep going on you. And if you kill them, yeah, that'll stop them, but then they'll bring more cops to try and kill you. So, ultimately, therefore, every law is backed by violence. What about the good laws? Okay, well, first let's go into bad laws, actually. Bad laws. What are bad laws? Bad laws are laws that punish people for doing nothing wrong to anyone. Like, okay, let's see. I mentioned this a billion times in previous videos. The war on drugs. You're throwing people in cages for putting what they want in their body. And it's cost the US since the 70s, since it got base boosted. Now, when it first started technically when it first started, if the war on drugs started in the 1870s? But it got base boosted in the 1970s. So, since it got base boosted, it's cost the US over $1 trillion. $1 trillion just to throw people in jail for putting what they want to their bodies. How considerate and compassionate is that? It's not. Also, there's number two. What else? What's the second biggest reason for the war on drugs being shitty and should be abolished besides number one? Hey, it's your body. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want with it. Crime. Crime's the second biggest argument, second most important argument against the war on drugs. It increases crime. Throwing people in jail for even just possessing drugs, and throwing people in jail for, at most selling the drugs increases crime. Why? Because it leads to a black market. And why is that black market so bad? Because it's violent. It's violent because of unfriendly competition rather than friendly competition. If drug dealers get angry at other drug dealers for selling on their turf, in other words, they belong to a gang, they'll try and kill each other, and they have. That's violent. Some people can get caught in the crossfire. Some people can get killed due to refusing a racketeer. A racketeer is basically tax, but for criminals inside the government. The criminals march into a store, they demand a certain percentage of the profits of that store. And they often have this under the guise of protection money. But of course in reality, the only people the store owner needs protection from is the very gang that's racketeering. How ironic, huh? So, the criminals are acting like the government in the sense that they're collecting taxes. They're collecting money against people's will. And they're not only doing that, but the government is what allowed those criminals to be so powerful in the first place. Remember, prohibiting anything, illegalizing anything, doesn't stop people from wanting it or making it. It just drives the market underground. Which it does with drugs, and guns, and prostitution, and any good or service you ban. It just underground. Okay. So That's one bad thing the government does. Number 2. This is actually what I find the worst, but for some reason I forgot about mentioning it first and I mentioned it second. But anyways, the worst thing the government does, in my opinion, is forced education. Compulsory education, choosing laws, whatever you call it, it's forced. You're forcing kids to go to school. You're forcing people to go to school against their will, under the guise that it's for their own good, or kids wouldn't go if they didn't make them go. Well, you see, here's the thing, okay? Truancy laws are neither moral, nor practical, nor good intentioned. In, like, 1852, there was this asswipe named Horace Mann that wanted kids to go to school, public school, by force. So, why did he want these kids to go to school by force? Well, because he wanted to indoctrinate them, to make them good, obedient workers and followers of the government. And to do this, he based his school system that he wanted kids to be forced to go to under the Prussian model. Now, back in 1800s, there's this country called Prussia, which is composed of Germany, which is today Germany, and some other parts. Prussia had a school model, an education system where it would indoctrinate people and teach them what the government wants them to know and train them to obey. Be good soldiers and all that. It's for making people good soldiers and workers, okay? Well, he had the wonderfully benevolent idea to model the U.S. education system off of that system. I mean, this guy was a fucking saint. I mean, isn't it amazing just wanting to, like, indoctrinate people, young people, just starting out life so they can serve you? Yeah, that's wonderful, but no, it's not. So, in 1852, he passed compulsory education law in Massachusetts. And then he got other states passed compulsory education laws, you know, along with the progressives, which rallied politicians for compulsory education laws. And in 1918, Mississippi was the last state to initialize compulsory education. It's the last state and complete state, you know. All states did this, and they completed it. It's not just the last state, and there's 20 states left in that compulsory education. No, this was not only the final state, but the completing state, so yeah. Forced education all around. It's bad because, okay, you're forcing kids to go after... You're forcing kids to go against their... You're forcing kids to go to school against their will, you're indoctrinating them, you're exposing them to bullies. It's not effective. It's done for personal gain. Okay, those are just 5 reasons right off the back of my head, my compulsory education shit. Okay, so that's another law government does is bad. Okay, war on drugs, you know, forces you into a cage because you put what you want into their body that the state happened to not like. Forced education, forcing people to go to school against their will. Gun control, you know, forcing people to not have certain guns. And if they do have certain guns, take them away. And that's bad because it goes against the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. You have the right to bear whatever arms you want. Gun control only empowers criminals, such as the formerly mentioned drug dealers, drug gangsters I mentioned. Okay, so that's not good. Those are bad laws. Okay, well, what are some good laws? Laws against murder, rape, kidnapping. Those are good laws. At least in terms of laws. Overall, since Ancaps don't think there should be any government, they don't think there should be any laws. Unless it's of the private sector. Private economy. The private economy of houses and stores, restaurants and stuff, they can have laws. Okay, so what makes this different than government? Laws still rules? What makes this different from government? Well, here's the thing. Government is involuntary. You just have to obey it because it's just there and you're just there, you know? You didn't sign a contract. Social contracts of duty, that's bullshit. I made a video against that. Whereas a private commune, you voluntarily sign and pay for a contract to live there. It's voluntary. You agree to follow the rules, and you agree to pay for living there. That's what anarchists want, are things such as private communes for people to live in. They don't have to obey a state. They have to obey the people that are in the commune, but they're there voluntarily, so it is not a state. What will be in this private commune? Well, everything you have right now, plus replacements for the government stuff. Like police will be privatized. Jails will be privatized. Courts will be privatized. Fire department privatized, healthcare privatized. Everything's privatized. EMS, emergency services, emergency services privatized. Okay, everything's privatized. You get the idea. So, how does privatization help? Well, for starters, companies are more accountable to consumers, to their customers, than government agencies and administrations are to their consumers. Why? Because if you treat your customers like shit, they leave and go to a better company which doesn't treat them like shit, offers them better goods and services for better prices, with better service, kinder employees and shit like that, okay? Whereas a government agency, if it sucks, you have to use it anyway. You have to use it despite that. You can't just leave because they're forcing you to use it. They're forcing you to use the U.S. Postal Service for first-class mail. They're forcing you to use the DMV and DPS for, getting your driver's license / permit and your driving authorizations. They force you to use state police and state firefighters and stuff like that for what you need. They don't let you choose a private police department. They don't let you choose a private fire department. They don't let you choose private EMS or, courts or mail service. They don't let you do that. Private mail services like FedEx, DHL, UPS, Budget, they can't do first-class mail. They can't do as much as the U.S. Postal Service can. They can do other class mail, like second-class mail, but they can't do first-class mail because that's for the USPS to do. According to the government, they made it so only the UPS could do. And UPS is slow, and it's losing money. It's not that fast with the package delivery. It sucks, but hey, you still gotta use it since government mandates you to use it. Thus, it's a monopoly. Thus, it can suck as much as it wants and still have customers because they're forced to use it. Same with police. Police can be as brutal as, savage can be, and they can still be forced, and consumers can still be forced to roll under them. They can't just say, officer so-and-so, you're fired, because you're forced to use them. I mean, you can try and beg the government to convict them, but that often doesn't work. So what else? Privatization is more efficient because you don't have all this bureaucracy to go through to get things done. You just get things done with your company, trying to find the most efficient way to serve your customers / consumers, and you do it. You don't just have a vote on it. You don't have a committee on it. You don't have a bill on it. You just do it. Okay? So, it's another benefit of privatization. It's more accountable to the consumer. And it's more efficient. So anarchists want a society without inefficient, violent government. And they want a society with a prosperous private sector. This is why we're anarchists. We're not just hooting and hollering for government to go away for nothing. We're hooting and hollering for government to go away so we can all be free and prosperous. That's the goal. And I guess going back to the bad laws thing, why is it bad to make even good laws? Well, because the government has monopoly enforcing those laws. Why can't a private company enforce laws that murder is wrong? Private police force. Like in a private commune, right? Laws against murder, why does it have to be the government? private sector would be better at solving murder, dealing with murder than the government, yet the government forces its way to deal with those problems. Every law is backed by violence and involuntary association with government. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is all... Okay, so what are some arguments... What are some arguments against Anarchocapitalism, against anarchy, against anarchocapitalism? Well, here's a big one. Well, at least a popular one, but baseless. Is that chaos! Anarchy will cause chaos! Where are the police? Where are the fire department? Where is anybody to deal with these criminals? They'll rise! Well, here's the thing. Government creates a lot of crime. It's not keeping you safe. Or if it is, it's not doing a very good job. War on drugs creates crime. I mean, creates a violent black market. Gun control, it disarms people, or at least reduces how well they're armed and when they're armed. Criminals love that. It goes, unarmed victim. Prostitution prohibition creates a violent sex trade, as in sexual slavery. That's not good, and also people can beat prostitutes and infect prostitutes, and they wouldn't be allowed to go to the police and being treated as a victim for it because, hey, they did prostitution. They get arrested for prostitution. They wouldn't be treated for their problems. Okay, well, technically they would, but they'd also get arrested for prostitution because that's illegal. They'd basically be sacrificing their freedom to get, fixed. To try and bring someone who raped them to justice. Or try to get medical help for an STD. So, that's not good. So, government creates crime, and yet people are saying, without government, crime would be increasing. When in reality, without government, crime would decrease. No war on drugs means less opportunity and motivation for crime. People won't feel the crazy need to still, fulfill these people's desires for drugs by being violent gangs and shooting anyone else that wants to do the same thing. You'd have friendly competition with the legal white market drug stores. You wouldn't have to blow the other gang's brains out with like MS-13 versus the Bloods and Crips, something like the Bloods or something like that. With no gun control, you can protect yourself with whatever, whenever. You need an AR-15 to protect yourself, you can use that. You need an AK-47 to protect yourself, you can use that. You need to have it on you at all times, where people can see it, you can have that with open carry. You want to have it with you at all times, but have it so people don't see it, you can have concealed carry. Wherever you feel you're in danger, you could bring your gun with you to protect yourself from that danger. So that would reduce crime. There are over 300,000 to 2 million defensive uses of a gun every year. They don't necessarily involve the gun firing, even firing. Whether it be to wound or kill the attacker, or even just as a warning shot. Sometimes it can just be pointing the gun. Sometimes it can even just be the criminal seeing the gun. So, guys, keep people safe without prostitution. You wouldn't have so much sexual slavery. Okay, prostitution, it gets driven underground since it's illegal, right? Prostitutes often can't go to help without scrutiny from the law, right? Okay, well, what else? There's sexual slavery, which is very disgusting, which is where people are kidnapped or tricked into being prostitutes for their master. And I feel very sorry for the victims, and I hope that the sexual masters get the punishment they deserve. Well, without prostitution being illegal, people who would have sex with those sex slaves would just go to the white market instead of having sex with sex slaves, some of which are minors. Yeah, really disgusting. Prostitution would reduce sexual slavery, yet the government insists on illegalizing it. The government creates crime, a lot of crime, not all, but a lot. So that crime would go down with the government at least. Okay, well, what about the other crime that isn't so caused by government, with rape and murder, and kidnapping and robbery? Okay, well, you'd have the private police force to deal with that shit. Okay, you still have police force. It's just privatized and more accountable and more efficient to the public. Here's a clip of the privatized police force. A privatized police force working better than a public police force. It's only in a small part of Houston, not the whole state of Houston, of course, but a small part of Houston, smaller subdivision, but it works better than the public police.
It's crimes like that that have neighbors in Sharpstown looking for protection, but not from police. They found another way to cut crime, and it is working. Brad Woodard has their solution in a story you'll see only on KHOU 11 News.
Show me 1041 Sharpstown, Sector 3.
As Officer Leroy Bill patrols the streets for the Sharpstown Civic Association.
We're looking for broke windows. We're looking for kicked-in doors.
He looks and sounds like a cop.
At least it's quiet today.
And he and his fellow officers are certainly armed like cops, complete with canines. And when most people hear private security, what do they think?
They think mall cop.
No mall cops here. They are security officers with SEAL Security, and they've been under contract with the subdivision since November.
We actually patrol districts and subdivisions like this one, give them a little bit more security for their money.
The Civic Association used to contract with the constable's office for a deputy to patrol the area. But now that it's gone with SEAL Security, it has anywhere from 3 to 4 officers patrolling the streets at any given time and at half the cost. Also cut in half, the number of burglaries. The average monthly number last year.
At about 20 per month.
And in February?
11.
Wow.
So a big change.
And when a young mother in the neighborhood was recently stabbed multiple times in front of her children.
Our guy just was on duty, routine patrol, comes around the corner, flag down, sees the assault, draws his weapon, and breaks it up.
It's great. I mean, I feel a lot better. Last month, my dad's car was broken into, and I've heard they've reduced the car thefts here by a significant amount.
Increasing the neighborhood's sense of security. Brad Woodard, KHOU 11 News.
SEAL Security has 150 officers citywide, and they train at their own academy. They're authorized to make arrests, but don't pull people over. The Sharpstown Civic Association says it is saving about $200,000 a year by making that switch.
Okay, what else do you have? You have guns for people to defend themselves. I kind of already mentioned with the get rid of all gun control, but people have guns. I mean, this whole there'll be chaos narrative acts like people don't have anything to defend themselves without government. What do? They still have their guns, alright? In fact, they can have even more guns due to the lack of gun control. Okay, so they can use those guns to defend themselves. They have private police, guns, private security, and in addition to that, also you can band together with other people to defend other people and each other from the gangs, from the warlords that would supposedly rise up due to no government. Oh no, we can't protect ourselves. I mean, come on. That's another argument against Anarchocapitalism. Roads. But who would build the roads? Well, private companies. The same people that build the roads today would build the roads in Anarchocapitalism. Only you pay them directly rather than have your money stolen from you in the form of tax dollars. Pay for these roads. The roads, how would they be funded? How would you pay for these private companies? Well, you could get a bill in the mail for them. You could pay at a toll booth. You could have billboard advertisers pay the road companies in order to build and advertise their billboard next to the road. You could have car companies pay for the road. For the customers to have stuff to drive their cars that they sold them to in the first place. You could have business. Oh, here's a really good one. You could have businesses that the road goes through paying for them. A road goes through Walmart, McDonald's, Ace Hardware, Home Depot, and Cece's Pizza and a shit ton of other restaurants. They'll each have a stake in paying for that road that goes through them. And if a road goes between anarcho communes, then the anarcho commune on one side will pay for one half of the road, and the anarcho commune on the other side will pay for the other half of the road, the highway, whatever. Both sides will still pay for it, even though it doesn't go through them, it goes to them. So, there you have it, way to fund the roads. Okay, so, better law enforcement, better roads, less crime. Okay, I already mentioned the law enforcement. More prosperity. Okay, government makes it hard to earn money. How does it make it hard to earn money? Well, going back to forced education, the public school system doesn't educate so much as it does indoctrinate. So they're not really teaching you what you really need to know to get a job. You know, all these useless worksheets and quizzes and tests and projects, all these useless worksheets, quizzes, tests, and projects and other shit don't really help kids learn. They don't really help kids prepare for the workforce, because they're not what they want to know. They don't really apply to the job. It's stupid. That's just one big way the government makes it hard to earn money. How else does the government make it hard to earn money? Passes regulations which are, proposed to the government by the corporations to passes law to push out competition. Well, that's not very fair. Why shouldn't a person be able to go to a different company if one company sucked? Well, they absolutely should be able to do that, but corporate elitism stops them from doing that, or at least stops them from doing that so easily. I guess in a somewhat related example, Tesla. Look at Tesla Motors. Those cool cars, without exhaust pipe, are electric driven. What if they're great and all, but the thing is, you can't buy them directly. You have to buy them online. See, there's a stupid dealership law that you have to sell through a dealership. You can't just sorry, my phone's ringing, it's kind of distracting. You can't just buy a car directly from the manufacturer. You can't. You gotta buy from this dealership, which is bullshit, or buy them online. And they have Tesla display rooms for their Tesla cars, but technically they're not dealerships because you can't buy the car from there. You can see the actual car in person, but you can't buy it from there. What? Yeah, that's how stupid laws are, and that's enforced by government, so yeah. So, competition, laws, you got subsidies and bailouts. The subsidy is money paid for, tax money to pay for a company to do what it does. Oil companies particularly well known for getting subsidies. Bailouts are money paid to companies to prevent them from going under. 2008 bailouts, yeah. The subsidies are bad because they steal money from taxpayers and give them to businesses. If you're not doing business with them, you shouldn't have to pay money, period. So bailouts are bad because it gives stupid, shitty companies no incentive to improve, to stop being stupid, shitty companies that lost their money, okay? Remember, if someone can bail you out from your problems, you have no incentive to try and prevent you from having problems. Okay, so that's another thing government does, is reduce incentive to fix your shit. Lobbying. Government can be lobbied, which is where companies go up to them and say, hey, do this for me, here's some cash, I'll fund your campaign for a politician. And the politician goes, alright, I'm on it. And so they do it. Yeah, that's dumb. There's also mandatory purchasing, like car insurance is mandatory, healthcare insurance is mandatory. With mandatory car insurance, you have to pay a lot more for your car than you would if you say you didn't have insurance. Insurance premiums are expensive. It can make having a car more expensive rather than less expensive. Same with health insurance. So that's not good either. So getting rid of government would get rid of that shit. It would get rid of elitism, because you need government for elitism. So get rid of the government, get rid of the elitism. So there goes the whole corporations rise argument, because without government, corporations can't lobby, they can't receive tax subsidies and bailouts, can't make you buy their product. They're stuck with they have to be a good company to get your service. And if they were to get violent, you could get violent back, and it would be against the law. Because they're just fighting a corporation, and not fighting a corporation that's in collusion with a government that does make it against the law to rise up against these unjust corporations. So that's all I have to say about Anarchocapitalism right now. I will probably say more later, and I might even refine this video. So yeah, that's all I got. Anarchy is. Oh, okay. Actually, one more thing. How do we even plan to achieve anarchy? Well, by phasing the government out. How do we plan to phase the government out? With Bitcoin. You put your money, you make your money into Bitcoin instead of fiat government printed and minted money, and it's much harder to tax. Technically, Bitcoin can still be taxed. Not as currency, but as property, but it's a lot harder to keep track of. And if money's hard to keep track of, it's hard to tax. And if it's hard to tax, you get less money off of it. So if the government doesn't get enough tax dollars, or even doesn't get any tax dollars, it can't run anymore. It can't be a government, because that's what a government needs to survive, are taxes. So, put your money into Bitcoin, it's growing, something like that. I got a little money in Bitcoin. And hopefully this alone will phase out the government, or at least this will put a dent in it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about anarchy for now. I think I'll say more later, but that's all I got for now. Alright, yeah.